Hi everybody, thanks for listening in. My name is Katrina Lee and I am a dance medicine physical therapist, and I'm here today to talk about how to maintain the power of your jumps for dancers when you don't have access to your regular dance classes. Welcome to part 1. The virtual dance classes that most dancers are taking are great to help maintain technique, but dancers are not able to jump and really move at home. Dancers will lose their power for jumps during COVID-19, so I created this video to help. Part 1 today will be about how to protect yourself when jumping outside of the dance studio. We'll start today with low impact exercises, and in our next videos progress to medium and then high impact. So a little about me. I most recently worked for Westside Dance Physical Therapy in New York City, and I served the New York City Ballet, School of American Ballet, and the Broadway community. I now work for Agile Physical Therapy, located in Palo Alto, California. So please be aware, this is meant to be informational and not to be used as medical advice. Training for jumps or jumping in general comes with an increased risk of injury if done improperly. So if you have any questions regarding an injury, please seek the help of a medical provider. In the case of an emergency, please call 911. So before we jump in, let's go over some basics first. This video series of exercises are for dancers, specifically those at a high level of physical fitness who need to maintain the athletic component of dance, but don't currently have access to their normal dance schedule or setting. Do not perform these unless you were able to fully participate in your normal dance program prior to losing access. These exercises are designed to mimic the stress and impact of the Petite and Grande Allegro, so you can maintain your musculoskeletal strength, power, agility, and speed. The supplemental training outside of the technique class has been shown to improve dance technique, giving such things as stronger turnout, higher legs, higher jumps, and also decreases the risk of injury in dancers. These exercises should be done immediately after your virtual dance class when the body is still warm. You can always choose to do these exercises separately from the class, but you need to make sure your body is sufficiently warm, as some of these exercises are going to be very physically challenging. And so why these exercises are so important to do during shelter in place, you don't just want to wait until your program comes back before you jump again. You actually do want to maintain some physicality to protect your body. This is because of deconditioning. So deconditioning basically happens within about 2 days to 2 weeks of any physical inactivity. So typically the more fit you are, the longer that takes. However, we're now in our 3rd week of shelter in place, so all the dancers are to some degree less fit. Good news is that deconditioning can be reversed or kept at bay using exercise. However, this takes time, and the longer that the period of inactivity lasts, so however long shelter in place lasts, the longer you will have to spend training to come back to the same level you were before this all started. Dancers who come back too fast or do too much too soon are at a high risk of injury. So those professional dancers who have jobs or gigs that they have to return to with very rigorous schedules, or say if you were a dance student, you have an upcoming competition, performance, company auditions, or summer intensives lined up, you need to continue training outside of your virtual dance class during this time. So how can we safely jump outside of the dance studio? So dance studios typically have a sprung floor, which is essential for jump training because it absorbs impact and helps to protect the body from any bone or joint injury. If your studio has a sprung floor, that means that your body has adapted to the decreased impact that a sprung floor gives when you jump. This means you need to know how to protect yourself when jumping outside of the dance studio. Many of the exercises are going to be done in parallel. This way you don't need the slide of the marley floor or the spring of the dance floor to do the movement correctly. Jumping in parallel also gives the same benefits on the musculoskeletal body as jumping in turnout. And so you get the same strength training benefits on muscles and bones, while also protecting the joints from excessive impact and wearing. Another thing you can do is just when you're jumping in general is work on trying to land softly. So that's quietly with control, working that toe ball heel. And that will also help protect your joints and help you with longevity of your body. Wearing sneakers can also help absorb impact, especially ones with thick rubber soles. Make sure you're wearing a court sneaker, not a running sneaker. This is because running shoes have a flared base,
because you're running in one direction forward. And so that flare will give runners a little ankle stability. But we are going to be jumping in all directions. So the sneakers that you want are the ones that you can typically wear at the gym, to play tennis or racquetball, really anything that lets you move all directions.
So these exercises can be done either at home or outside. Find synthetic rubber surfaces, which are the best substitute for a sprung floor in terms of absorbing impact. If outside, jump on school tracks and playgrounds if they are open. You could also use astroturf, grass, or dirt, but use caution as these surfaces are not smooth and can be slippery. At home, you can jump on low pile carpeted floors. If you only have hardwood floor, you can lay down home gym mats, non-slip yoga mats, rubber exercise mats, or, in a pinch, chef mats. You can also wear your rubber-soled sneakers for extra protection. Make sure your foundation is wood and not concrete. Absolutely do not jump directly on cement or tile.
For those dancers who are unfamiliar with working in parallel, these are some tips for success when jumping in parallel. How you push off and land in parallel is different than when you're turned out. Make sure for these exercises you have a good sense of the form before you start jumping. For push off, keep your weight forward, but make sure your heels don't pop off the ground. You actually get more leg power for your jump when you can push the heels into the ground. When landing in parallel, make sure you're using both the hips and the knees to bend and absorb impact. This is different than the typical jumping when you're turned out where you're trying to keep the trunk upright. Being able to lean forward actually helps to recruit more glute and core strength when you jump. Make sure your knees do not collapse inward. This tends to happen more often if you're used to jumping turned out and then you suddenly switch to parallel. So another reason that you really want to make sure that you have the form, you have the pattern down before you start increasing the speed and the power. In general, try to keep the center of your knee in line with the second toe. So if any doubt with the exercises I'm about to give, start with the ones you're already familiar with. The adage of training, start low, go slow. Don't go too crazy at first until you know how your body is going to respond to these new exercises. So now let's jump into the exercises. In the next few slides, I'll be giving multiple options for exercises that boost either the cardiovascular endurance, agility and speed, or strength and power. So after your virtual class, pick 1 to 3 from each of the 3 categories. Make sure you have at least 2 rest days spread out over the week, such as having a rest day Wednesday and a rest day Saturday each week. This is because these exercises are more physically challenging than your typical dance technique class. Technique class, you could do one every single day if you're used to that. But the human body gets stronger by slow adaptation. Each time you load and stress the body, so when you do your very intense exercises, you always have to follow up with a day of rest and recovery, because this is when new muscle fibers and bone cells are built. And over time, you progressively get stronger and stronger and can tolerate more. So our first category is cardiovascular endurance. When the body begins to decondition, endurance is the first to go. The nice thing is that to help maintain your endurance is that really you can do anything. You just want to make sure that your heart rate goes up and your breath gets faster. Basically, the adage is move until you have a hard time talking, because that's how you know that you're working that endurance. To maintain endurance for high athletes, you want to hit a minimum of 150 minutes of cardio per week, but you get even more benefit if you can do 300 minutes of cardio per week. So the nice thing is dance technique class does count for this category. So the minutes that you're putting into dance class, as long as you're moving and your heart rate is going up, they all still count for those 300 minutes of cardio per week. Our next category is agility and speed. So these exercises, I'm going to give you different patterns that you're going to try and master. But once you master them, start slow, build up the speed, and see if you can do them as quick as you can, maintaining an even rhythm. So in general, some tips for agility is you want to try to keep the head up, keep the body upright, the knees are soft, the elbows are bent, and you're working on just really quick, light feet. So for our final category, we're covering exercises that boost strength and power. So for these next exercises, you have to make sure that you can master the balance and the form before you add the explosive power of the jump.
So here's the full comprehensive list of low impact exercises. So those of you who don't have access to any rubber floors, or say live in an apartment and don't want to bother your neighbors, you can still do these exercises. While these are not as aggressive or high impact as the exercises in our part 2 video, these exercises will still give similar strength training benefits. Please note that only the exercises with asterisks are in the video demonstration next. Cardiovascular low impact exercises are not included because they are just activities that you can do.
If you're not sure about any of these exercises or you would like an individualized consultation, I am available for physical therapy and wellness consultations by telemedicine. And if you're interested, please visit agilept.com/telehealth for more information.
So that's it for today. Dancers, work on mastering these low impact exercises first. We will be building on these exercises and adding more impact in our next part 2 video, coming soon. Thanks for watching!